स्पोर्ट्स से जुड़ी किसी भी छोटी या बड़ी अपडेट के लिए सब्सक्राइब करें स्पोर्ट्स तक और साथ ही किसी भी नोटिफिकेशन को पाने के लिए बेल आइकन को दबाना ना भूलें।
The world changed for Shane Warne after the ball of the century in 1993. I mean, suddenly you know, the eyes of the entire cricket world were on you. The British media obviously is, can hyperventilate this way or that way.
Yeah.
If you don't do well, you've had it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it can. How did it transform your thought process, your thinking? That first, did that delivery make such a huge difference to you, or you were also, like a bit like Mike Gatting, eyes popping out, not knowing what the hell is happening?
No, it was a bit. So my journey from Sri Lanka, I did pretty well that series. Went back to Australia and we played the West Indies, who at that stage were still dominating world cricket in 92-93 season. They had a very good side. Desmond Haynes, Lara was just starting. Their bowling attack was Ian Bishop and Walsh and Ambrose. So they had Patrick Patterson, who was super fast. And so they had a great team. Richie Richardson, Desmond, all those guys. And I didn't get picked in the first Test match, and I was playing a Shield game for Victoria. I made 70 with the bat and took 6 for with the ball, and Australia couldn't bowl out the West Indies on the last day at the Gabba in Brisbane. And Alan Border said in his press conference, if the selectors had picked Shane Warne, we would have won this Test match. So my having a bit of form with the bat and the ball in the Shield game, I got picked for the Boxing Day Test match against the West Indies in '92. And playing against that side was pretty amazing experience to play against such a great side. Once again, I got none for 100 in the first innings and thought, oh, here we go again. And I was starting to get written off then. Even the press, the Australian press, was starting to get into me and say, this guy's not good enough. How many chances are we going to get? There's got to be other spinners around. And the last day, West Indies needed 320 to win. And Phil Simmons was on 100. He got 100 in a session. And the West Indies were doing really well. And just a couple of overs before lunch, Alan Border told me to bowl. And I knocked over Richie Richardson with a flipper. And I went on to take 7 for 52 and knocked the West Indies over that day. So that gave me a sense of, hang on, if I bowl like that against the best side in the world, I'm a chance at this level. So we finished the summer pretty well. We then go to New Zealand and I take a record amount of wickets in New Zealand. So we head to England. And I was sort of feeling pretty good that I'm starting to do okay. But coming up against Graham Gooch and Mike Gatting and these great players was an experience. So we get to the first Test match, about to play the first Test match. I come on to bowl my first ball and Mike Gatting's down the striker's end and Graham Gooch is at the non-striker's end. And I was standing at the top of my mark and there's been so much hype about the Ashes and I've been watching as a kid growing up, about to play my first ever Ashes Test match. About to bowl my first ever ball to arguably one of the greatest players for England. And I was a bit like, okay, I don't care what this ball does, I am just going to try and spin it as far as I can. I don't care if it bounces twice. There was no let's just ease into it in a bit of rhythm, try and gradually get into it. I just said, I want to make a statement early. And it was at Old Trafford, which is a really nice ground to bowl spin. It's a bit of pace in the pitch and it turns. And in the first innings, Peter Such for England got, I think, 5 or 6 wickets and the ball really spun. So I thought, right, here we go. And I released this ball, and sometimes when you bowl a ball, you know it's good, but it might not necessarily take a wicket, but you know it's going to be a good ball. Now, they might hit you for 6, they might do whatever. But as it left my hand, it just felt so good. And Mike Gatting, I remember just looking to go forward and then suddenly he started to follow the drift and it drifted in and he went to try and play it, he missed it and just clipped the top of off stump. And Ian Healy was down the leg side and, it was the first series that was those big screens at the ground. There was never the big screens at the ground back then. I hadn't played in front of them and it had the Citron screens and, as you take a wicket, you're all sitting in the centre saying, oh, well done, mate, and you're giving each other a high five. And so I sort of caught it out of my eye, they were replaying it. And everyone sort of looked up, and I thought, shit, that's a bloody good ball. I was sort of looking at it, that's pretty good, that one. And then as time has gone on, it's become better and better. But that ball, I think, changed my life.
Yes.
And alluding to your question, the reason it changed my life was suddenly everybody wanted to know what Shane Warne did when he grew up, what Shane Warne does in his spare time, what Shane Warne does in between cricket matches, who does he hang out with, who was his friends. And I had never experienced back then, for instance, walking out of our hotel, the Westbury in London, and 20 photographers out the front following me up the road to Zara. I was like, what are you doing, you idiots? And they just kept taking photos. And I was like, oh, okay. So then we'd go to the pub with Merv, and you'd have a few pints with Merv, you walk out of the pub and walk back to your hotel, and there'd be another, there'd still be there 20 of them. And I was like, geez. So it was, you know, I was 23 years of age, about to turn 24. I was very young, and to try and deal with all of that stuff was amazing. I remember in England, one of the great things about touring England is you're always on a bus. There's no air travel. You check out of your hotel, you hop on a bus, you drive to the next county and you play. And on that, you know, they've got so many different newspapers. They're always on the bus, so you pick up a paper, and I was reading things like 10 things you didn't know about Shane Warne. So I'd be reading and go, geez, I didn't know that either. I was reading these things suddenly about my life that I didn't know either. So it was my first, I suppose, education about how the press worked.
Yeah.
Not necessarily always true, but always looking to get an edge. And watching the press evolve now, it's not about being right anymore in the press. It's about being first.
That's true.
It's not even about getting the right content with anyone at the moment. It's always being about, we want to have the exclusive. We want to be first. And then if we're wrong, we'll put it on page 35 in a small paragraph later on if we were wrong.